To our 3 million members, nearly, but we're going to organize for more. Our 7,000 delegates, our amazing board of directors, our phenomenal NEA executive committee, and to the incredible, indefatigable NEA staff, thank you for all you do each day to fight for the kids and families and communities we are so lucky to serve. I also want to give special recognition to the state affiliate presidents and to my colleagues, our state affiliate executive directors. Day in, yes. Day in and day out, you lead and manage with dedication and devotion to this organization. And you know, as executive directors, we partner with the leaders elected by NEA members to advance a glorious mission, vision, and set of core values. And I must say that at the national level, we have a tireless leader of our extraordinary union, a fearless champion for students, educators, and the excellent, just, and equitable public education system on which our nation's future depends, none other than President Becky Pringle. It is my honor to partner with you every single day. Delegates, you heard from President Pringle yesterday lay out many of the challenges we face in our country. A perilous moment for our democracy, a crossroads between democracy and authoritarianism. I've heard many of you talk about that eloquently over the last few days. You heard from Dr. Josh Cowan about connecting the through line between those who are funding efforts to dismantle public education and those who are trying to dismantle democracy. They're one and the same. And you had the distinct honor of hearing from our dear friend and colleague David Edwards, the General Secretary of Education International, about the anti-democratic challenges that our educator siblings face around the world. Delegates, I want to talk a little bit about that methodology that is being used both here and around the world. And I've heard several of you mention some themes throughout the debate here on the floor, because in order to educate and communicate and litigate and organize, mobilize, legislate, and elect, we have to understand the strategy that we're up against. Our opponents have built their strategy on 4 C's. Chaos. Raise your hands if this sounds a little familiar. How many people find it nearly impossible to keep up with the onslaught of the 166 executive orders signed to date and the resulting lawsuits that pop up almost daily in our feeds? Sound familiar? Yeah. How many people have adopted a strategy to kind of ration your news intake in order to protect your own mental health? Sound familiar? Yeah. Project 2025 told us this administration would flood the zone with countless rollbacks of policies that are designed to make us safer, healthier, more prosperous, and more free as a people. They want to spread the pro-democracy coalition wide and thin, dividing us up into narrow factions, assuming that we'll only fight to protect the interests that are closest to us, spreading us too wide and too thin to mount a collective defense. That's their theory. Chaos theory is designed to weaken opposition to the regime in power. Second word, control. How many of you have been told to stop teaching what you know to be true? How many of you? Raise your hands. How many? How many of you have had to take books off your shelves, or you faced other forms of censorship? Well, in an effort to comply with the administration's executive order related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, there were 381 books removed from the U.S. Naval Academy Library, including Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and many other books reflecting the beautiful mosaic of authors in America. They removed books that studied the KKK and the history of lynching in America, and yet they left on the shelf Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. Imagine that. Imagine what they took off and what they left on. This administration has threatened to withhold federal funding from institutions that do not comply with this attempt to obliterate the free marketplace of ideas. And later you're going to hear from Alice O'Brien, because we're suing. We're suing. But they know this kind of tactic, this kind of threat alone, will lead people to self-censor, even before there's any edict that requires it. We've seen the mad rush in higher education institutions and corporations to scrub those aspirational words of diversity, equity, and inclusion from their websites and their policies, and shutter programs that create safe spaces for freedom of thought and expression. This form of retaliatory control is designed to stifle dissent, a right so important. It was the first enshrined in our Bill of Rights. As my daughter said to me last night, "Mom, dissent is patriotic." Yes, it is, Maddie. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Cruelty. How many of you are working with students who fear that their parents will be snatched up off the street? Raise your hand. How many of you have students who don't have enough to eat at home? Yeah. Well, delegates, this big, bad, disgusting bill that passed the House 2 days ago pours more money into ICE and strips money out of food assistance programs, ripping children away from their parents, letting kids go hungry. This is beyond cruel. It is immoral. This use of cruelty is deliberate. It's designed to make us all afraid. Afraid for our lives, afraid for our families, afraid for our jobs if we speak up. It's designed to make us bow down, to comply, to submit. Well, this nation was conceived in liberty, and freedom is supposed to be our birthright. We didn't want kings in 1776, and we damn sure don't want them now. Chaos, control, cruelty. The sum of that formula, delegates, is corruption. To line the billionaires' pockets with tax breaks on the backs of everybody else. Delegates, do you know that 50 of the S&P 500 companies in the United States paid zero in income tax last year? Guess what was the company at the top of that list? Guess which one? Tesla. You got it. Despite reporting a $15 billion profit in 2023, Tesla took a $5 billion tax credit. It's reported that between Tesla, Starlink, and X, Musk's companies are making $38 billion in government contracts, subsidies, or tax credits, meaning that we're paying Elon rather than Elon contributing to the common good. And he's not alone. This big, bad, horrible, no good bill that just passed the House 2 days ago gives over $1 trillion of our tax dollars, the tax dollars of hardworking, everyday Americans, to the wealthiest among us. And as a result, over 12 million people will lose their health care over the life of this bill. And Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, yeah, I'm calling them out, I'm saying their names, and the Trump organization will get even richer. So the people who bankrolled the last presidential campaign are getting quite a return on their investment, while everyone else is less healthy, less safe, and less able to see the American dream as their probability. We wake up to policies like this and a social media machine that gaslights us every day. They want us to believe that immigrants or poor Americans are to blame for the economic rules that have allowed companies like Tesla to pay zero income tax. And by the way, I hold both major political parties responsible for the decades of economic rules that have diminished the number of people that can have a voice in their workplace through belonging to a union. Every human being elected has the responsibility of governing on behalf of all of us. It means doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people possible. And it damn sure means solving more problems than you create. So delegates, yesterday's celebration of Independence Day took on a different meaning to me. And you know me, as I do every year on July 4th, I spend some time reading some portions of our founding documents. So yesterday, I focused on this. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Those are the first words of the U.S. Constitution, the roadmap for how we as Americans are to govern ourselves, not be ruled by someone else. We know the work of democracy is hard. It's messy and uneven and really never, ever complete. In fact, the work of democracy is like the work of justice. And to paraphrase my friend, Executive Committee Mark Jewell, we're never arriving, we're always becoming. Right, Mark? We're never arriving, we're always becoming. From the 13th Amendment to ending slavery, to the 19th Amendment granting voting rights to women, from Social Security to IDEA, from Pell Grants to the Affordable Care Act, from Title I to the Higher Education Act, it has always taken ordinary people to bend the arc of history toward justice. And part of us becoming a more perfect union means opening the doors of opportunity wider, not slamming them closed. So, delegates, what is it going to take to rescue democracy and public education? Yes, it will take those 7 verbs that President Pringle outlined the other day: educate, communicate, litigate, organize, mobilize, legislate, and elect pro-public education, pro-democracy champions. I would submit to you, delegates, that the most potent contribution NEA could make to the effort is through organizing and mobilizing millions of Americans to resist, to say no, and to say our democracy belongs to us, and so do our public schools. But it is critical that we learn from other countries around the world. And what we know is that an organized, sustained resistance is key. Delegates, Harvard professor Erica Chenoweth has studied examples around the world of what it takes to topple authoritarian rule. And her research shows that when 3.5% of a nation's population stands together in sustained, nonviolent resistance, the probability of toppling authoritarianism goes way up. In the United States, that's roughly 12 million people. Well, NEA, last time I checked, we're nearly 2.8, 2.9, almost 3 million people strong. If each one of us could activate just one other person, we'd have nearly 6 million people. And if each one of those mobilized just one more, we'd be 12 million strong right there. NEA, this is the biggest movement moment we have faced since the Civil War. And I know that together we can be courageous. I am personally so inspired by all of you, the millions of members and thousands of delegates who call this union home. I'm also inspired by my friends and my family members. Earlier this year, during the hands-off protest in DC, I met up with several of them who came down from New England to visit. And we were all there together on the National Mall, and we were holding our signs, and one of my family members was there celebrating her 80th birthday. And she said, "Kim, I was here during the March on Washington. I was here to protest the Vietnam War. I was here fighting for women's rights. I can't think of anywhere else that I'm supposed to be today." And so we talked about the masked men who are indiscriminately grabbing people off of American streets to be sent to God knows where without due process, without warrants, and without question. We talked about the gravity of the moment that we're in, and she said to me, "I've lived my life. If they have to take somebody, take me." Someone in my family inspired me about literally being able to put it all on the line for the values we believe in. My family and I talked to so many seasoned members in the protest community that day, and so many of them were of the same mind. They were extraordinary, they were brave, they were willing to stand 10 toes down on their values. And even as my family members' words made my eyes, just as they are now, filled with tears, they also filled my heart with resolve. It's the same resolve that I get when I see you, our members. One thing is for sure, we cannot save anyone or anything by keeping quiet and hoping it all goes away. In the face of injustice, as the great civil rights leader Audre Lorde said, "Our silence won't protect us." Audre Lorde was right. This administration only takes notice when we are united and loud, and when we are brave enough to step up and step forward and say, "Not on our watch." So it matters that people in communities nationwide, teachers, educators, parents, librarians, public education advocates, are staging walk-ins, resisting book bans, creating safe zones for children at school. And it matters that NEA, our union, is at the vanguard. At the vanguard. I do need to acknowledge that being brave can feel a little scary, especially when your job is at stake. And even more if you feel like you're standing alone. Delegates, I want you to always remember something. You are never, ever alone, because this union has your back. When it comes to courage, every small act makes a difference. Maybe it's comforting a terrified student who fears their parents will get ripped away from them. Maybe it's planning a joyful event for your colleagues, celebrating a special occasion, or simply because you made it through another day together. These acts of resilience and of love can be the spark that lights a fire, giving someone else the energy or the inspiration and the confidence to act as well. Organize. Mobilize. Delegates, our assignment from President Pringle is clear. 12 million Americans must choose each day to engage in big and small acts of resistance and non-cooperation with an administration that has absolutely no intention of recognizing any of our constitutional rights. Sometimes acts of resistance can be singular, but they have an incredible ripple effect. Like our sibling, Idaho 6th grade history teacher, Sarah Inama. Yes. When Sarah's school district told her to take down a classroom sign that said "Everyone is welcome here," Sarah refused. And in her words, yes, speak up, Idaho. And in her words, quote, "It was simple to me. Either everyone is welcome here or not." Sarah's resilience and defiance and courage and the solidarity from our Idaho affiliate and now many others helped shine a spotlight on the threats and intimidation our students, schools, and educators face today. Stories like this will mobilize even more people to our cause and help us drive momentum, not only to resist, but yes, to build. Because in a time when the rules are being flouted, when longstanding norms are being shattered, we have a chance to remake systems that are more just and more inclusive and more sustainable. Our union itself can be a model of what that future can hold. A place where people from all walks of life can come together and work together in support of the common good. You're doing it here today. I've watched you. People from all walks of life. So let me say it loud and clear. Everyone is welcome here. And not only are we welcome, we need everyone engaged. Already this year, organizing, mobilizing, and collective action has led to meaningful legislative wins, wins that make life better for students and the educators who serve them. In Alaska, lawmakers significantly and permanently boosted funding for state education. Go Alaska. In Mississippi, greater funding includes increases in educators' health insurance premiums and retirement pay. The Texas legislature passed a record school funding bill with the largest teacher pay increase in state history. But we know we have to push for more. And just as important as what we've helped push through is what we've blocked. Our efforts in Montana, the Dakotas, New Hampshire helped ensure bad bills on issues such as vouchers and funding caps and open enrollment never made it out of committee. Montana also joined Indiana in successfully contesting and in some cases defeating anti-union and anti-collective bargaining bills. Yeah. And in Tennessee, when a bill was introduced that would have allowed public schools to deny enrollment to immigrant students, we helped make sure it died before the end of the legislative session. And in Utah, when the legislature passed a bill rolling back collective bargaining rights for Utah education employees, well, UEA and USEA and NEA marshaled a huge labor coalition. It was an effort that collected 324,000 signatures in just 31 days. Miraculous, miraculous, miraculous. And successfully put a measure on the ballot to repeal that legislature's attack on our bargaining rights. NEA, our collective action is bringing real results, and we will not yield in our defense of education, freedom, and democracy. We will also not yield in our support of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And guess what? Guess what, delegates? The harder we fight, the stronger our union grows. Despite relentless assaults on our affiliates across the country, we are going to finish this year with net membership growth for the first time since the pandemic. Wow. Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Delegates, I want to assure you that for years under this leadership team, NEA has been steadily increasing its support for year-round organizing in our affiliates. We now have 2,194 member organizers that we support through our year-round organizing program, and they're lifted up by talented staff. We've expanded our Growth and Strength program, which has helped affiliates hire and deploy 167 full-time staff organizers across the country. And we created a campaign lab for local affiliates to learn how to develop organizing campaigns to win the schools our students and educators deserve. We've expanded grants for locals engaged not only in bargaining for the common good, but also we've created a system to expand labor management collaboration systems in places where there are trusting and productive relationships between our members, administrators, and school board members. NEA has increased its support for affiliates who are organizing recognition and first contract campaigns, which yielded new units in Colorado and in New York and New Mexico and Kansas. And in North Carolina, a non-bargaining state as we know, Asheville City Association of Educators became the first local in North Carolina to reach majority status. And the Durham Association of Educators launched a campaign for meet and confer authority, and in the process, won a school budget that was over 2.5 times larger than any budget request in memory. And they tripled their membership doing it. In Texas, the San Antonio Alliance won the biggest compensation package in 25 years. Their neighbor in Arizona, the Tucson Education Association, won 12 weeks of paid parental leave, the first of its kind in the state. Oh, and in the mighty California. Members in Sacramento fought to create community school steering committees at the district and site levels and won 10% across the board compensation increases. And in San Francisco, UESF won an 84% raise for their lowest paid classified workers. 84%. 84%. And they achieved beautiful collective bargaining language around community schools as well. And the great United Teachers of Los Angeles won the second largest pay increase ever in almost 23% over 3 years. They achieved a reduction in standardized testing, and they stood in solidarity with their SEIU colleagues on a 3-day ULP strike. When we fight, and we don't just fight back, do we? We fight. Yes, we do. Delegates, our mission statement declares that our work is fundamental to the nation. NEA, America needs our strength. America needs our resilience. America needs our vision and power to create something new, something beautiful, a public education system that welcomes and prepares every student, and a democracy that delivers for everyone. Let's go, NEA! Let's go!